Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good evening to you all. I think we should not punish
very
the people
surprising.
who are disciplined and timely, right?
Okay.
We will start the program. VK Sharma ji, good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good to see you.
गुड आफ्टरनून शर्मा जी।
नमस्कार, कैसे हैं सर?
बहुत बढ़िया सर, आप कैसे हैं?
बस एकदम बढ़िया। आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम आई एम सीइंग यू।
सेम हियर सर।
Right. I think we'll start the program, and today talk is I think very important talk after pandemic, and we are very happy to see our speaker and speakers rather and moderator all are here. Thank you very much, Dr. Ruby Sanger, Dr. Timira Shukla, and Dr. Narendra Singh Chaudhary. I think Rupesh will not be available because of some immediate last moment circumstances. The young boy student from 83 batch, we wanted to involve them also so that they also get a glimpse of what ISTD Noida chapter do here on actual basis. So we are very happy. We are having generally every month we try to organize monthly program, and we try to vary different topic relevant to today's industrial environment or the people's requirement basically, so that our member can get benefited out of these exercise what we do. And it's all our executive committee members efforts, all members efforts, and the chairperson's initiatives. We keep doing this and keep talking to people to encourage, basically come and deliver a talk and participate, and all those things goes on. So that is the normal process. We go on, right? Happy to see you all here. Just to give a little glimpse before I hand over the mic to Ms. Sima Sinha, Chairperson ISTD Noida chapter. Sima Sinha will give an introductory talk, and then I will introduce about the gentlemen. You can switch off, unmute in case if you are not talking, so that no other noise comes.
Sharma ji, you mute all.
Yeah, I think Kanwar Yadav, your video is on.
Okay, sir. Okay, right.
Sir, you can mute. Otherwise, I mute you all, and then you can unmute and then speak accordingly. So I will request Sima Sinha to give an introduction about the ISTD Noida chapter and this about this initiatives, and then I will again come among you and tell you about the today's program, how we have planned, and the same thing I sent in the email. We will have a talk with Dr. Ruby Sanger, and then moderated by Dr. Narendra Singh Chaudhary. Dr. Timira Shukla will give opinion as and when she feels like. Madam, you are free to come and introduce.
I think let Dr. Ruby first.
Right.
Sir, opinions always because of flow, the entire, only then you get the gist of the talk.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
then only I will like to express.
So we had requested Mr. Rupesh Rai. He will not be available, and after that, moderator will have chance to speak, and then we'll have a question answer session at the end. Right. So this is all about the today's program. We all should be synced. So now I request Ms. Sima Sinha to please come and introduce.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commander Obama. So I'm
Yes.
so surprised. This is first time members are so late. I don't know why they have not joined us yet. But
few
anyway,
members.
so yeah, whomsoever had joined right now. So hello everyone. So good afternoon and namaskar from my side. So on the behalf of ISTD Noida chapter, my warm welcome to all the guest members and the participants, and my special welcome to our wonderful young speaker of the evening, Dr. Ruby, and the moderator, Dr. Singh and Dr. Timura, as so for the as a special invitee actually. So as I know, because I am representing the Indian Society of Training and Development, so little I would like to mention about the ISTD. So friends, Indian Society of Training and Development got established in 1970, and it is a national level professional body. And it is a non-profit registered society actually. So it now, since inception, the Indian Society of Training and Development has completed his 50 years and celebrating the golden jubilee. It is affiliated to the IFTD, that is the International Federation of Training and Development Organization, US, and the ARTDO, that is Asian Regional Training and Development Organization, Manila. The membership of ISTD is approximately 9,000 plus individual members and 33 to 25 plus institutional members till date right now. So the flagship program of the ISTD is the postgraduate diploma course in training and development, which is an 18-month distance learning program, and which is recognized by the government of India and the Ministry of HRD. And every batch starts or commences to every after 6 months actually, and the upcoming batch is the 86th batch, which will be commencing from the January 2022. So I'll request my members actually to refer the people for this batch, actually 86th batch, which is going to commence from the January 2022. So another thing, the ISTD has initiated various awards or annual on the annual basis to encourage the HRD professional in the country, like National Award for the Innovative Training Practices, Best Membership Award, Book Award for encouraging Indian writer in the field of management, Best Chapter Award, Best Small Chapter Award, the Best Paper Award for the best article published in the IJTD actually during the year. So there is a Kamla Award given to the best women writer for the best article published in the IJTD of during this year. The fellowship is conferred every year to who is distinguished themselves in the field of L&D and working in the field of in the field for at least 15 years, and whose life membership is at least for the 3 years actually. So these are the actually a clause which is given by the ISTD. So ISTD conduct various national level and the international level conference and seminars, and the forthcoming is the IFTDO India actually. The IFTDO, little about the IFTDO I would like to tell. IFTDO, Indian Federation of Training and Development Organization, was actually founded in 1972 in Geneva, Switzerland, and in order to develop and maintain a worldwide network. IFTDO is the most multinational multicultural training and development organization in the world, with a truly diverse board of director leading the organizations. IFTDO currently represents more than 5 lakhs professionals in over 30 countries. Its presence is in more than 30 countries actually, the IFTDO. So, and this is the actually the our privilege, ISTD privilege actually. I'm very proud being a student actually. In the IFTDO World Conference 49th International Federation of Training and Development Organization World Conference is going to be held in New Delhi in 24th and 26th April 2022, and ISTD is going to organize it out. So the venue will be 24th will be the Vigyan Bhavan, and the 26th will be the Lee Meridien. Two such a wonderful venues are have also been finalized, and this is so it is going to be a very mega event actually. And being Delhi and NCR people, so this is our actually great opportunity for us to witness this mega event. So I request all our members actually to register themselves for this mega event to witness. So because we are Delhi NCR, so the details of the IFTDO will be World Conference will be shared by my colleague Dr. Singh. inform a short while in the group and through the mails also. So you will be getting to come to know about the ISTD actually. So that's all for. I will not be taking much time actually once again. So I welcome. I can see the Ganmala ma'am actually. Thank you so much. So ma'am, you are also so delighted to see you, Dr. Napal, after a long time. You are here. So I welcome once again to all the joinees actually, all the participants, the guests and the invitees. So that's all from my side actually. So I'll not be taking much time. So I'll hand over the mic to the Dr. Wing Commander Verma again. Thank you so much.
So you're on mute.
Thank you very much, madam, for introducing the monthly talk and ISTD Noida chapter. We are taking initiative, and it's a great pleasure to see Dr. Naipal Singh after a long time joining us. I hope you are listening, sir. And Gunmala Suri, thank you, madam, for joining us. Today's talk is redefining employees' experience in the uncertain business world. The talk will be delivered by Dr. Ruby Sengar, and Dr. Narendra Singh Chaudhary will be managing it. The talk, basically the theme is conventional ways of doing work have been swapped with innovative ways for personnel to connect and cooperate with peers and clients. In an isolated working setting, people have become comfortable with new flexibility, which they would like to expect in return to work or an amalgamation of both online and offline work strategy. So this is the beginning, and the same thing I sent to the email to all, and I hope we get a new insights about the work culture and employee experience, basically in the industry in the days to come, right? And now, as far as the speaker is concerned, I would like to mention a little bit Dr. Ruby Sengar. It's not possible for me to narrate about their biodata complete, but just a little bit. She completed her PhD in OB and HRM from IIT Roorkee. At present, she is working as an assistant professor with Symbiosis International University, Noida. She has a total experience of 10 years and has worked with organizations like PML, Munjal University, a Hero Group initiative, Amity University, etc. She is currently involved in 2 research projects, one with professors of IIM Ahmedabad and XLRI professors, and the other with the company Nielsen IQ. She has also been guiding 6 research scholars, including both national and international scholars. She has conducted many MDPs in organizations like Ambuja Cements, Asahi India, Jubilant Life Sciences, Godrej, etc. She is a keen academician, researcher who keeps herself involved in writing research papers in journals of repute like Scopus Indexed, ranked in ABDC, WOS, SSCI, etc. Also, she is a reviewer of many renowned journals like Journal of Managerial Psychology, ABDC-A, Journal of Organizational Analysis, ABDC-B, etc. Right? And moderator Dr. Narendra Singh Chaudhary has an 12-year experience in industry and academics. He is also PhD in HRM from Punjab University. He is presently working with Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Noida. Welcome you, sir. And we have Dean and Professor Dr. Timira Shukla with us. She is with Jaipuria School of Business, Noida. She is having a wide experience with academics and industry, and she is a true institutional builder, as I make out from her LinkedIn profile. So welcome you, madam, for the
Thank
talk.
you, sir.
We had one student also, Rupesh Rai, but because of last moment he could not come. So we will have this. Now, without wasting much time, I will request moderator Dr. Narendra Singh Chaudhary to take over and invite Ruby Sangar for the talk.
Thank you, Mr. Verma, for giving this wonderful opportunity. So nowadays we are talking a lot about employee experience. Like there's a very well good saying which goes like this, that if you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. If you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. So this proverb itself shows about the importance of human resource in any organization. During this pandemic, we have seen the world has gone over the top. And we have seen that many things have changed. The way of working has changed from offline to online and now coming back to the hybrid mode. So the modus operandi is changing. And it is very, very essential because now we could see, as Mr. Verma has very rightly pointed out in the very beginning, that people now are working from their homes. And this concept of work from home is also getting changed. That is work from anywhere. So as the world is also changing, so organizations also have to change and they have to make efforts so that the experience of the organization, especially in retaining their retaining their employees in the organization is wonderful, so that the good talent can retain with them and they can have a wonderful journey. So I would like to call Dr. Ruby Sanger to share her views that what organizations can do to ensure a good employee experience while they stay in the organizations, and how relevant it is and why it is important to discuss about employee experience, especially during this post-pandemic. So, Dr. Ruby, I would like to request you start sharing your screen and please enlighten us with your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Dr. Narendra, for. Am I visible?
Yes.
You are absolutely visible.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you so much, Dr. Narendra, for inviting me to speak about the topic. And I would also like to thank Mr. Verma for such a wonderful introduction. So thank you so much. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Is this visible to all of you?
Yeah, it is visible.
So how should I?
It is visible. Okay.
It will stay visible only. I have no idea about that.
No, we can.
Anyway, yeah.
Presented by Dr. Ruby Sanger, Area Chair, HR, Symbiosis International University.
Yeah.
It is visible. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So I'm Dr. Ruby Sanger, and today I'll be talking about a very talked about topic nowadays in the domain of HR, which is redefining employee experience in the uncertain business world. Specifically, I've mentioned here EX, which means employee experience. So throughout the PPT, you'll find EX written everywhere. So do not get confused with the term employee experience as EX. See, in the present scenario, if we see the business environments, they are very, highly competitive and very turbulent environment we see nowadays. And for the successful companies to differentiate themselves with the other companies across the globe, it's a big challenge. And if we see in this process, employee experience plays a very, very important role. Now, how it plays? See, in most of the scenarios and in most of the organizations, HR is something, the human resources of the organization are something which are the major differentiators that differentiates between the successful companies and the unsuccessful ones. So ultimately, it's the employee experience which will bring that differentiator, which will help in achieving that competitive advantage for the organization through employee experience. And in fact, through this employee experience, there would be a lot of benefits that an organization would be reaping. Apart from the profits, apart from gaining success, there are many other things. So let's talk about this. Let's dive into the topic of what this employee experience is all about. So you see, employee experience, basically, it is more of a combination of all that occurs in the life cycle of an employee in an organization. So employee experience is basically a journey an employee takes with his or her organization. So it basically starts from the day when he or she applies for the job in that organization, and it definitely ends at that day when it would be the last working day for his or her in that organization. So employee experience is basically based on 4 important stages of the employee life cycle. The first would be the recruitment stage or the recruitment phase, wherein the employee or the candidate who's applying for the job will basically be coming across and looking at the culture of the organization. So I would say it's an opportunity for the organization to demonstrate their nice company culture to the candidate. And with that, they can, establish that trust with the potential hire. And if everything goes well in the application process, in that selection process, of course, there's a scope of a good experience being earned by the candidate regarding the organization. So as of it moves, the person moves from the first stage, they move on to the onboarding stage if the person is selected. In this stage also, the employee experience plays a very, very important role. Like if we all know in the onboarding stage, usually the companies introduces the company to the new candidate, the new employee, and the employee gets to know, they get a feel about how will they be working in that organization. So if again, that onboarding process goes well, it goes smooth, of course, it will be a good, adding on to the experience of the employee in that organization. Then we move on to the next stage, which is in the life cycle of employee, which is the development and the retention stage. So in the development and the retention stage, the employee, if he or she is able to learn while being in that organization, if they're able to, develop themselves, if they're able to retain themselves, if they think they have a future in this organization and they are motivated enough to have that long-term association with that organization, of course, they would be wanting to be retained by the organization, right? So if that experience goes well, that also adds up to the employee experience of the organization. But if it doesn't, of course, that will bring down the level of good experience in the organization and might be the person would want to exit the company. So the last stage where an employee experience plays a good role and an important role is the exit stage itself, wherein the person serving the notice period plus the exit interview. If that also experience goes well, of course, the overall employee experience would be better, and an employee will never be talking bad about your company in the market. They will be portraying a good image of yours in the market. And of course, that word of mouth will pay a lot to you, will be working wonders for you because it will enhance your perception score, right? So I'll tell you, I'll rather give you a few examples on how employee experience acts as a differentiator. Say, for example, a very smooth hiring process or easy hiring process versus the true job fit. So here, any new employee who's hired and had a good experience in the hiring process, it was easy and smooth for him. But if an organization understands your abilities well, your skills well, and offer you a role wherein you're able to apply your natural talent, of course, it will add to your experience. It will be adding to your employee experience, first of all, and it will boost your confidence and your morale. So that's the very beginning wherein your experience would be positive about the organization. And when you have a positive experience, you would want to continue with that organization for long. So that was just one example to it. We can have more of it, like knowing the mission versus, committed towards the mission. So we know most of the organizational employees are aware about their company's mission statement. But when they get to know how will they be contributing towards that mission, they have a sense of purpose. And when they have that sense of purpose, of course, it will again add up to their experience and will enhance their engagement levels in the organization. Similarly, if we ought to compare between a nice manager versus a great manager, of course, that would be a bonus if you get a nice manager. But if you get a great manager, of course, in that case, you will be that great manager would be knowing about you, understands you well, and will be taking care of you and knows when to coach you and how to coach you. Of course, that will also add up to your experience, your employee experience, and would definitely enhance your or boost your productivity as well as your passion. So that's how you see a kind of a difference that employee experience brings to the organization. So if it's more towards the positive side, more of benefits coming towards the organizational side. So let's talk about the three environments as mentioned over here. So employee experience is basically, comprised of these three important environments. The first one talks about the culture, which is majorly made up of the values, the beliefs of the organization, or the mission of the organization. It's even visible in the leadership perceptions, right? So that is all what makes together the cultural environment of the organization. Next would be the technological environment, which basically talks about the technology used by the organization to interact, for interactions to happen between the employees. And it could be the laptops, the desktops, the applications that are used for interactions and the communications. So technology is all about that. In fact, the internal social networking, that's also happening with the help of technology only. So that's another important environment forming the employee experience. The next would be the physical environment, which majorly focuses on the office setup or the meeting rooms, or it could be the parking spaces. So anything associated with the infrastructure or the building of the organization that's contributed towards the physical environment. So all these three environments that together form up the experience of an employee. And if it's if all the things go well, of course, that creates a positive employee experience. Now, before I talk about the challenges in the way of, ensuring employee experience in the organizations, I'd like to talk about a study done by Deloitte. The last year they did this study, and they found that, more than 8% of the senior executives, those who responded into the survey, they have actually reported that employee experience is something which is very, very important. So majorly 40% of them rated it as very important, and the remaining 40% also rated it towards important aspect from the organizational perspective. So out of those 80% respondents, 22% said they are the only ones who are, having that, well-designed, well-equipped employee experience in their organizations. The others weren't having. Similarly, more than 58% of the respondents, they highlighted that they don't have the correct resources or the right resources to address the issues of the employee experience, which is why they're not able to have this in their organizations. So now let's talk about the challenges, keeping in mind those numbers and the survey done by the Deloitte. So majority of the challenges that were, identified through the survey were that majority of the organizations, they're not considering the employee experience as that important. So they keep their HR busy with the other tasks. They are not, focusing on employee experience at all. The other challenge that they faced was, though they believe in employee experience, but they in fact hire also the employee experience officer, but they are not, giving the responsibility of designing and driving this employee experience by any senior executive. Of course, the person who's already working with the organization would have a better idea about the culture, about the environment in the organization, and accordingly can design the right strategies to incorporate the employee experience. So that was again missing. There were few organizations who were, focusing only on engagement. They were not focusing on diversity and inclusion. They were not talking about equity. They were not talking about performance management. So their main focus was employee engagement rather than employee experience. So these were few of the challenges that many of the organizations were facing, which is why they were not able to compete also in the race of, the successful companies who are able to differentiate themselves with the help of good employee experience. Now, what creates a positive experience is personal thing. So it definitely depends on if an employee, how, into which level, to which phase of employee life cycle is he or she belonging to. What are the kinds of work they are doing, or what motivates them as a person. So it's quite personal as to decide what should be the positive experience for one person, or is it applicable to everyone? It is not. For a person like me, if I have to give an example, for me, if I join an organization, for me, a good experience from that organization could be, if that organization provides me a child daycare. I have a small child, and for me, that would be the best thing, and that would, of course, add to my employee experience. But for anyone who is at the higher level, at the senior level, for them, I don't think so that would create that, a positive employee experience. So definitely, it depends on person to person what is important for them, and to which stage of employee life cycle do they belong to. And on the basis of that, they decide these are the drivers for them, and that will contribute towards their employee experience. So there could be, ways to create a positive experience, like you can go ahead with continuous learning strategies. You listen to your employees well, go ahead with surveys, take the feedbacks from your employees. It could be the direct one or the indirect feedbacks. This could help you in getting the information about what are those drivers that actually contribute towards the employee experience of each of these individuals. And then accordingly, you can design the various techniques through which you can ensure a positive experience to these employees. Or the other way could be you use the HR analytics, which is very common nowadays. You can apply the analytics to most of the HR related functions, be it recruitment, selection, performance management, training and development. You can apply it anywhere, right? So use it, get to know the drivers of the employees, which motivates them to have a better experience with the organization, and try to segment your employees on the basis of similarities and differences in those drivers. And that data can help you in identifying what is the potential of the people, current potential, and what is their future potential. And on the basis of that all analysis, you can decide which people you should be targeting first to enhance their experience, who all you are thinking would be leaving in a while, maybe in 1 or 2 months of time. Target these people first, because it's always a good technique to retain your people rather than recruiting the newer ones. So that could be a way to generate or create that positive experience. Here are a few drivers or factors that contributes towards a positive employee experience. It could be more meaningful work, having more empowerment or meaning or autonomy. The management should be supportive. There should be more transparency. The guides or your manager should be ready to coach you, or a positive working environment wherein human values are of utmost importance. You give the flexibility in the environment. Give believe in appreciation, recognition of your employees. And of course, development of your employees matters a lot to them. So if you take care of that, of course, you will earn a good experience of these people in the organization. And trust, the utmost important thing in an organization. The people should be trusting their leaders. They should be trusting their peers. So to have good relationships, to have a good understanding on how their role is actually contributing towards the mission of the state organization, they all line up together and help in building that trust. That there should be a proper sort of communication happening between the leaders and the employees. So all the factors as mentioned over here, that they're all contributing towards the good experience in the organizations. Now, why do HRs need to focus on employee experience? A very, very important question. So as you see here, a study by US Bureau of Labor Statistics, this year itself, they did a study and they found that majority of the workforce by 2030 would be millennials. And how do we know what are the expectations of the millennials with respect to employee experience? So it was also researched upon, and it was found that they look for a more meaningful work, which is basically aligned with their beliefs and their values. And there would be gonna be a huge role of rise of social media, and the volatile economy would be because of the pandemics happening this time. It could be extended till that time, or it could be the disruptions or the digitalization. So all these would contribute towards making a lot of changes in the environment of the organization. But ultimately, it's the humans who will be creating that differentiation, right? So we should be focusing on employee experience of these millennials, so that they end up having a good experience, which leads to a good engagement and ultimately a good performance from these employees. So this is why HR should always be focusing on the employee experience. Here you see a set of components. We did discuss about these with respect to the environments through which an employee experience is formed. So it's pretty much the same. The only difference here is when we talk about the company culture, we'll be talking about that the employees, they should be able to relate with the culture. They should be having a clear understanding about the vision and the mission statements, and be able to relate their work with those visions and mission statements. Similarly, proper working environment should be given to the employees. If they are working in the office setting, if they're struggling with something with the office space, that needs to be taken care of. So that is what they're trying to focus here in employee experience. And similarly in technology, if nowadays we say in the pandemic time, especially when people were working from home, there are still many organizations who are still allowing that remote working. Without the technology, it wouldn't have been possible. So people would have done wonders with the technology, but the moment this technology is taken away, it's difficult for them to perform. So yeah, all these three components do play a very, very important role in creating that good experience for the employees. So here's a Gallup framework of employee experience, which talks about the 7 stages of an employee life cycle. So this Gallup's framework basically tells us that they've come up with a very good design or a framework of employee experience, which maximizes this experience of the individuals and the team performance, especially at each of these levels. So you can maximize the effect of employee experience if you're able to have the consistent experience at each of these levels. You're able to align the organization's purpose, their brand, their culture, and of course, if you're able to support the strategic workforce planning. So you can actually ensure each of these things, you can have a very good employee experience in the organization. As far as the difference between the two concerned here, as mentioned, people usually get confused between the two terms. The reason being, they say that experience and engagement is one of the same thing. Maybe there could be two related terms, but they are distinct in nature, I would say, because employee experience is something which is a sort of an input on the employer's side, whereas employee engagement is a sort of output which an organization would achieve if they elevate the employee experience. So it's meant basically for the individuals, the employees of the organization, whereas engagement is basically focusing on the employees' productivity and of course the workforce. So it's not about just individuals, it's talking about the organization as a whole. So we should not be confusing between the two. So here are a few factors why we should be going ahead with employee experience. It helps in enhancing our engagement levels of the employees, increases the productivity. It raises the customer experience, because the moment you enhance the engagement levels of the employees, you're able to automatically increase the customer's experience as well. It enhances the relationships. Of course, it propels the job satisfaction of the employees, increases the profits of the organization, and of course, it also helps in reducing a lot of things which organizations doesn't like, be it employees turnover, the absenteeism, and so on. So here, just a second, let me just shift it. Here, employee experience. Here, a number of terms you can see here which talks about employee experience before coronavirus. So as we see, before coronavirus or before this pandemic happened, employee experience was all about, increasing the trust, increasing the engagement levels of the people, ensuring you are motivating your employees through a lot of perks, giving them fast track growth, talking about families and parties and yoga and maybe gym in the offices. But the scenario completely changed when Corona hit the entire world. After the coronavirus, the only thing that was coming into the organization's mind was, how are we going to manage the workforce? How are we going to manage the same productivity levels that we were having earlier? We were earlier used to talk about engagement, we were talking about trust, we were talking about good onboarding practices, better recruitment practices, or developing our employees. But now things have completely changed. The business model has completely changed. The focus is more on attestation. This is a new business process that has come into picture, wherein it's the expectation from the employees to attest about their behaviors. They have to do it on an everyday basis. They have to get their temperature check done, whether they have a fever or not. Anyone ill at their family, if somebody is ill, they're sent back to their homes. So a lot of attestation happening, less of discussion over engagement, less of discussion over employee satisfaction, more of focus on mental well-being and mindfulness. So there were a lot of things that changed after the pandemic happened, and so that employee experience changed. There were a lot of queries going on in the minds of the CEOs and the owners of the companies, whether to consider opening the organizations or not. If they are take at all the levels, whether they're fulfilling the local orders, the state orders, even if they do it, are they ready to bring in the entire workforce at the workplace? Will they be able to manage that 2-meter social distancing? Will everything be managed? So of course, everything has to be taken care of, and then to decide whether to open the organizations for the employees or not. So there was a survey which was done by the Gallup, and it was found that how do employees prefer to work? So majority of them still prefer to work in that hybrid model. Those who are ready to come to the offices, they can. Those who are not ready, majorly 30% of them were saying that they wish to still work from their homes, and 3% saying that they wish to return to the office with safety measures. So a very less number of people who are wanting to work in this mode. Majority of them wanted to work in this hybrid model only. There was another question took up in this survey on what will make our employees feel the most comfortable with. So majority of them talked about, the employees should be vaccinated, their working station should be properly sanitized before they reach their offices. Proper distance should be maintained between the seating arrangements. They should have preferably, private spaces to work, and so on. So the list is too huge. So the main focus of employee experience, which earlier was, has completely changed. This is why we were talking about redefining employee experience. So here are a few ways through which, even in this situation, we can increase the employee experience. We could go ahead with listening and acting. We can, of course, ask the employees, maybe through a number of surveys, through anonymous surveys. You can take note of all the requirements, all the needs of your employees, listen to them more frequently, maybe on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, and you need to make a decision accordingly. Because we as an organization are there, we are existing because of the existence of these human resources. So we need to be taking care of these human resources. And if you're not able to do that, of course, you will end up losing your talented employees. So that shouldn't be happening, of course. So this first point is very, very important. Next would be connected leaders with strong emotional question. So of course, the leader should have good, ability to identify the emotions of their people, should be able to empathize with their employees, and should be connecting with them on a regular basis to keep up their spirits high and be helpful to them in such difficult times. And in such difficult times, if they're not helpful, the employees will end up having a very bad experience with your organization, which actually is not the motto of the organization. So this of course plays a very, very important role, and it helps in building a trust with the employees. Yeah, of course, embracing new technologies would be another good approach, because ultimately, you see, it's the responsibility of the managers to know what are the technologies they should be providing to their employees, so that they're able to, stay in connect with them. They can communicate well, and the work doesn't hamper. That's the ultimate, requirement. So that should be taken care of by the managers. Next you see is hybrid working and remote talent. So nowadays, majority of the organizations, they have moved on to this model of hybrid working. And in fact, many IT companies and many organizations who do majority of the work using the technology, they have decided to move at least 30% of their jobs to a complete remote work. They're not wanting them to be back in their offices. They have given them the permission to do their work from their home, at least for 1 year of time. So they're not expecting them to be back. So they can actually go ahead with having the people on the job, basically in the physical mode, whose presence is important in the organization, rather than the people who are working with the help of technology. So this is what nowadays people are doing. They've in fact also given an emphasis to the inclusivity and diversity acceptance to it, because they've realized if they have to be focusing on the sustainability of their organization, these are few things which they should be focusing on. So employees and the organizations, they should be giving emphasis on diversity, inclusivity, and equality. Then only they can expect a better, sustainable organization of theirs in the future times. And yes, very, very important is prioritizing the well-being. In fact, there was a study by the Institute's work research, which found that many organizations, they were not able to address the mental well-being issues of their employees, which is why it costed them more than billions of dollars in that entire year. So why to go with that? Why not find a solution, be more proactive, and get the counselors, get the right people who can help framing the right processes, so that people, those who are stressed because of the work and are under the pressure and not able to perform well, you have to take care of their mental well-being. And of course, here's, you see, it's a big role of the managers as well as the leaders. So these were through few ways through which you redefine the employee experience, and why we should be focusing more on employee experience from the business perspective, because it reduces our employee turnover. It's very important. In fact, there was a study by Institute's Work Research, and they found that out of every 100 people, 100 employees, 22 people leave your organization for professional development, 12% leave your organization because of work-life balance, and the remaining 11% people leave your organization because of the bad employee experience. So this is why we should be focusing on this. And in fact, Gallup study identified that, if your people, they are highly engaged, it's 87% less likely these people would be leaving your organization. So that kind of impact employee experience puts on engagement levels, which stops them from leaving your organization. So it's very, very important. It, of course, enhances the customer's experience as well, because you enhance the engagement levels through experience, you automatically enhance the customer's experience also. So the better engagements of people in the organization, you can expect 1.5 times better customer experience by the customers, which of course is profitable for the organizations. And of course, it increases the profits also, because if you increase the engagement levels, you increase the customer's experience, you automatically end up having good profits. And in fact, there was another study by IBM which talked about that if people are more engaged in the organization, it leads to better results, it leads to better profits. And of course, it leads your organization towards more success. So a lot of benefits attached to employee experience. Let's see what these companies have been doing in these present times and learning from them and what the organizations nowadays can do. If I talk about Airbnb, this company was ranked amongst the best companies to work with. And in fact, this company has started working on employee experience from the past 8-9 years. In 2013, they've started working on it, and this company's founders have come up with the idea of, rather a business model of letting people have a feel of home anywhere in the workplace. So it was applicable to the workforce, and of course, this company was giving the position of employees to be acting as host plus the internal employees. So when you say host and the customers for the company, of course, the quality experience should be given to the internal customers also, so that they're able to serve the external customers well. So that was the approach they have followed. Similarly, Adobe, they too have come up with a good approach. In fact, the founders of this company, Adobe, they used to say, we've been sending our best people back to their homes for the night. So this is the kind of, attachment and relationship they've maintained with their employees. And they're able to, another reason why they have a good employee experience is they have their own intranet, the cloud-based intranet, and which is why their employees are able to interact well with each other. So these were the two important reasons why they have a good employee experience. Similarly, Accenture, what they've been doing in Accenture, they understand their employees well, and they try to understand what are the personalized experiences looking forward to by their employees, and they work on it, look for the drivers and apply the learnings. So this is why they're able to hold up their best people with their organization. On similar lines, Cisco, they too have been, coming up with the teams who work together to enhance the experience levels of the people. Mozilla also have been doing a lot in this area. They've been developing their people to ensure their engagement levels go high through that development, and they can ensure high levels of employee experience. Microsoft did something very different. You can see here, they've come up with this approach of 5 P's of employee fulfillment. So these were the main drivers they have been focusing upon. And in fact, they've come up with their own employee experience platform. So with this platform, they're able to ensure that each of these drivers, as mentioned here in this pyramid, are being taken care of. And they were the first ones to come up with some employee experience platform so far. So which is a kind of a approach wherein they've come up with something which nobody has done before for their employees. So this is really appreciable and something to be learned of. The other organizations have a lot to learn from the organizations who've been ranked at 6th, 7th level in the employee experience index. So I'm sure these could be the good key takeaways from this particular session. And these could be various ways through which you can, collect the information about the employee experience, work on them, and then, of course, enhance your employee experience. So as discussed earlier, we can go ahead with anonymous surveys. In these surveys, you're not asking the employees about their names and all, so they're kept anonymous, but you get all the information. When people know now that they don't have to share their names, but they have to share the details which they think are not good from their perspective, of course, they're more open and they're ready to share their feedback. So it's a good way of knowing about the viewpoints of the employees. In fact, through performance reviews, you collect a lot of information about employee experience. Like you see, you go ahead with 360-degree feedback appraisal. You get to know about the feedback of the employee, his strengths, his weaknesses, all of that could be known. And accordingly, you can plan the ways through which, maybe if there are certain training gaps, you provide trainings to that person, help him or her to enhance their skills so that they perform better. and maybe that could help in improving the experience of the employee. This could be another approach here in this employee opinion. The managers can sit back with their employees, take their opinions, ask what is good, what is bad. Maybe not all the times you'll get the right viewpoints through this opinion technique, but maybe if the manager is a great manager, as I've been talking earlier, is a nice manager or a great manager, if you have certain people in your organizations like that, you can sit with them, talk about the good points, the bad points, and maybe these people can help you in improving that experience. So yeah, of course, you can take care of these methods through which you can improve the experience in the organization. Lastly, I would be liking to talk about certain things that can help in enhancing the experience in the organization, specifically from the pandemic point of view. So yes, leaders' involvement is very, very important. They should be on a continuous basis, be interacting with their employees, making them understand that they are standing with them. If they were there when you were helpful in achieving all those success for the organization, of course, for all the hardships coming ahead, they are standing with you. They'll be helping you and ensuring you for your good work, you'll be appreciated, you'll be recognized. So that acknowledgement is very, very important from the leaders, maybe from the managers for the lower level people, but this should be flowing through the top management. The psychological safety is very, very important because it is something which gives you the freedom that you have the right to speak all the things that comes in your mind, and you wish that you want to be talking about your viewpoints, and your points should be considered and should be taken care of when you make the final decisions. So psychological safety is something which actually empowers the employee and gives him or her the freedom, the independence to be themselves in the organization. They don't have to wear another face and need not say anything because of fear of the top management. This should not be happening. There should be a lot of developmental opportunities for the employees. Then only you can expect higher engagement levels, which contributes towards employee experience. The company puts its people first. Of course, the customers should be coming towards the second position, but the employee should be taking the priority. You should be, first of all, fulfilling the needs of your employees. And that is when you can expect your employees to be fulfilling the needs of your customers very well. You give them the empowerment, you give them the freedom to make decisions on their own. This is very, very important, specifically from today's perspective, work-life balance, because there was another study which talked about how, the female senior level female executives, they were struggling, and initially they were performing well, but since they were not able to maintain that work-life balance while this pandemic was on, though still it is on, but still many organizations have moved to the hybrid model. So they were not able to perform well. And same goes with the senior level men also, whose wife were working, and they do have to take care of the family. They have to take care of the virtual education of their children. So it wasn't so easy for these people to perform to the level of expectations that the organizations were having from them. So this is really important, giving that flexibility in the working environment, very, very important. And rather than, considering the employees as family, you should be treating them as community. You should be letting them know that we are here to serve the society, we are here to serve the community, and through your roles in the organization, you should be creating that sustainability in your work. So that is how you contribute towards the mission statement. So working on all these would be important. Then you align your employees with your purpose and mission, make them realize how their work is important, how they're contributing towards the overall mission. And when they see their work meaningful, they have high levels of engagements, which leads to a very good employee experience, right? Their relationships with the managers, it has a lot of importance, Because if the managers doesn't stay transparent, doesn't stay open, of course, you cannot expect the same from the employees. For that to happen, it should be mutual, right? So the managers, the employees, too should be, both of them should have mutual trust and should be disclosing each and every information which is important in order to ensure, the work doesn't get hampered. And of course, that will contribute to good experience. And teamwork, collaboration, this culture needs to be created. Otherwise, you at one point of time would realize that one is doing work and the entire team gets the credit. So why this shouldn't be happening, no? The message should be passed on that you work well as a team, contribute well, equally you do it, and then together we will be helping the organization to reach that success that we are looking forward to in the coming time. So this culture should be created. And as you see here, there was another survey which was done by Gallup, and it was identified that we should be using the technology the most in these times, in these pandemic times, especially because when majority of the work for the organizations who are remotely working, their work is actually being carried upon with the help of technology. So it's important, it should be taken care of. But it was found that email wasn't found to be something which helps in best communication. Rather, it was something which was stopping the knowledge workers from working and focusing on their work beyond 30 minutes, because after 30 minutes, they need to check their email to see my boss hasn't mailed me anything. If I don't check my mail, maybe he or she would be angry with me that I'm not working, I'm just enjoying at my home. So this should be stopped. Instead, the manager should look for some other interactive ways to connect. They could use the other means, like they can use WhatsApp, they can go ahead with video calls, or could be any other usage of technology which avoids the use of this, because it has become very monotonous and boring for the employees to every now and then going back and check the email if my boss has mailed me something and I miss upon it. So that shouldn't be happening. You should work on your onboarding process, because an onboarding process helps the employee know what are the expectations from him and how he would be working in that environment. So for that clear understanding, a good onboarding process will create a good impression on the employee, which would be carried forward with that employee. And of course, that improves or rather contributes towards the overall experience of the employee. Here, it also provides easy access to information employees needs. So there was another, same study with this query that easy information, wasn't available to the employees. More than 50% of the respondents in the survey said that they were not having easy access to the information that the employees were wanting. So this shouldn't be happening. This could be another probable reason which could, spoil the experience of the employees in the organization. So this is some topic which needs to be reworked from the organizations, and specifically the engagement of the managers are required, so that their employees don't struggle for the information that's important for them to work. You should make your employees feel heard. So it should never happen that they wish to speak something, but because the managers, the leaders are not wanting to listen to them, which is why they stop, even though they wanted to say something, and they leave it. That ultimately, even though if I speak, nothing would happen. It might happen the other way around. I'll be caught and I'll be put into a bad situation. So why to go ahead with that and skip the situation? So this shouldn't be happening. Go ahead with surveys, go ahead with anonymous surveys, go ahead with feedbacks. They all would be useful. And of course, for good performance, for good work, recognition, appreciation, rewarding the employees, all these could, be working wonders for the employees, specifically from the experience point of view. Development of the career is another important point, because as I've mentioned that, a study talked about 22 people out of 100 people leaving the organization because of professional development. So why would you want your people to leave your organization? Just because you're not developing them, go ahead, develop them. And that could help you in retaining your best talent in your organization. And one very interesting finding that I came across was switch to the mobile first mindset. Because if you see today's millennials, for them, the ease of information would always be with the help of a mobile phone. So it's always good for the organizations that they come up with the applications through which it's easier for the employees to access the data, to communicate with others, to interact with their peers. So another good, finding which organizations can think of and work on it, get in the right applications and make their employees more happy. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ruby, for sharing your views on employee experience. I think you're very well encapsulated from the very beginning what the employee experience is all about and how it is differentiated from employee engagement, and what are the various factors that are actually impacting the employee experience, and what are the various initiatives the organizations can basically take to engage and give a good experience to their employees so that they can get retained with them. And I think very well pointed out that yes, during pre and post pandemic, things have changed a lot. Yes, because the things which were not being that much prioritized, but now yes, safety is one of the most important things because of the infection. As we could see that the people are very much afraid of the third wave of the COVID. So yes, as you well pointed out, so yes, psychological safety is also there, physical safety is also very much required. But yes, apart from that, as you well said, that how what kind of initiative organizations are taking and the various surveys and the research reports that you have shared, the findings, I think that was a very good takeaways for the present leaders, with the help of which I think they can redefine their HR policies so that they can bring in some good insights and they can retain their good employees, I feel. Because if you're losing good talent from your organization, that is actually losing to your competitors. Because whatever the you are gaining, because if you really want to ensure your success and survival in this technological disruption era, so I feel that can be done only through your people. Because I always say this thing that no organization is an organization because of its people, because it's people who makes any organization. And I had taken so many things from a PPT, I think. So the beautiful things which I like creating surveys, anonymous feedbacks from the employees. And I think that culture of openness, which you talked about, that the people should not be fear of their leaders. They should free to share their opinions. So that is very important thing. And I think that leaders in India should must learn looking at the culture of India. But yes, these are certain good things which you have shared about. So I think very well encapsulated. Talk about the employee experience, and you have suggested very good initiatives also which organization can actually think of to give a good experience to their employees so that they can retain their people and they can have a better employee experience. So thank you very much for sharing your views. Now I would like to call Dr. Timira Shukla. Ma'am, so please, I would like to request you kindly come and share your opinion on the topic. What are your views on it?
Well, very good evening. I think Dr. Ruby has presented all the different studies and opinions, and even at Japriya Group where I'm working, we have an open town hall. Every year we have a town hall, whether it is in offline mode or online mode.
Timira ma'am, can you be a little bit loud, please?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
I said
Yeah.
many organizations, including the place where I'm working currently also, we have open town halls for each vertical. So that town hall provides a platform for every employee to showcase their talent, which is beyond work. So that helps in bonding. And like anonymous surveys, we have an open forum called as Ask HR. Anybody can post through Padlets also their opinion or through mails. So that way they would know exactly what is happening. Only one or two key takeaways. I mean, everything was very well organized and structured and presented. What I would like to say is today we have to move towards design thinking, which is a more holistic process even we at our institute where I am running the PTM, we have made it mandatory that every student must do a certificate course on design thinking, because that's a very holistic present process of co-creation and open listening and dialogue. So that because what we have seen during this pandemic times is that agility, see, digital technology, AI was already there. COVID only accelerated the process. This was already there in 2010. I mean, everybody was talking about AI, data analytics. It was all there. Pandemic just hastened and accelerated the process. Because what has happened is the touch points where customers and employees intersect have increased. So if there are moments when a brand can create or any organization can create or lose value. So there is more need of co-creation between employees and customers, and it has nothing to be very specific only to HR. There will be more, there is need of cross-functional integration. And another thing is we have to now really redefine the parameters of success.
Very nice.
You have to, that's all. And of course, you have to deepen your connection with those who work, because we are moving towards gig economy now. So with AI and everything and all this data, all employees being constantly, the impression is they're being constantly monitored. So from theory Y, we seem to be moving back to theory X. Will it really work? That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much. It was wonderful, very insightful, and very enriching those who are in this domain of management and managing organizations.
Thank you, Dr. Ruby and Dr. Narendra, and now Dr. Timira Shukla. I think ISTD Noida chapter is very clear about these, what I think you speakers have mentioned generally. We always take care for redefining employee experience, or in our terms, we try to members experience.
Members experience, right?
Yeah. That is what we do. And Dr. Timira Shukla mentioned about design thinking. Madam, if you remember, we always put thrust on this. And I am very happy our chairperson takes a lot of initiative. And I remember when she agreed for this and took initiative on a monthly talk on Bhagavad Gita. And we had a series of talk actually. And I am so thankful to Mr. V.K. Sharma. He was available here. I think he is available in the first one. He took a series of talk on Bhagavad Gita. And today I'm very happy to announce, I think you see after a month or two, we come to know I am Ahmedabad to start course on Bhagavad Gita. I am Ahmedabad. And that kind of futuristic basically discussion or talk we try to organize. And now these course at IIM Ahmedabad will be meant for corporate leader, for business and ethical management. And Gita provides you the timeless wisdom. In the time to come, we might start getting the value out of the book or knowledge which are there. So today also when we talk about, suppose Dr. Ruby tells us about employee experience and the companies which he has mentioned, the Airbnb or Accenture and all those, if you see Adobe and Microsoft, Cisco, it's all futuristic. And tomorrow, I think these talk and discussions will be the topic of the seminar in most of the cases. So I will always encourage, we can take these for the, now New Year is coming in January, February, we can organize some seminar based on these topic, and with your all initiatives, we'll try to think of how this can be done. But in the meantime, I'm very thankful to all 16, 17, 19 members who joined us. If there are any question, open to now members. Please, Alex.
Yes, there is one question from Dr. Nepal. Okay, so Dr. Ruby, this question is for you. Does the pandemic make the leaders more empathetic leadership?
See, I'd like to answer this question from the real life experiences. I would say majority of the leaders, they did turn empathetic during the pandemic times, and they did relate with the hardships that the people were facing. And they came forward, helped the people, and very few of them, I would say, who did just opposite to what they should have done in that situation. I do have experience coming from various colleagues about that, that the leaders, they rather, helping the employees in that situation, they are in fact making the situation even worse for them. But that, I would say, out of 100 leaders, there would be hardly 3 or 4 such leaders who would be doing that. But majority of the leaders, be 94 to 96% of them, definitely had turned empathetic in the situations. So I would say yes, because majority goes with that.
Okay, there is one more question from Ms. Lorena Osario. Like she is asking that she is doing research in management in higher education institutions. So she is interested in knowing that from your experience and knowledge, what can be done in the similar field so that we could have a better employee experience in the higher education?
As far as having the better employee experience in the higher education itself, I don't think so. The drivers or the factors would hardly be different. It would pretty much be the same, especially from the perspective of, as if we start from, considering employees as the most important, members of the organization. They should be coming very, taking the first position, and giving them the first priority, listening to them, use the surveys, get to know about their needs, and segregate the employees in the various segments, right? And accordingly, you work on those drivers and try to enhance the employee experiences through that. Very important role of the leader would be here again. The leader needs to be understanding the situation, understanding what is going on in the institution, and should be ensuring that he or she stays in connect with the employees all the time, maybe on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. They connect with the employees, uh, show them that they are always there to motivate them, existing for helping them all the time, will be helpful in all the hardships. Of course, there would be a huge role of analytics into it, keeping in mind that the technology has gone far into it. And the analytics, of course, will let you know specifically from the perspective of who all are planning to leave the organization. You can easily identify that with the help of the softwares that can let you know what are the common words or the terms used by the employee on the systems on a regular basis. That those common terms, if somewhat relate to people leaving the organization, they are stressed, not happy with the organization, those terms will give you the entire analysis about what is going on in the mind of the employees. And once they have the entire information about the psychology of the employees, they can stop that turnover of the employee. They can look for the reasons, maybe through counselors, maybe through other managers who can sit with the employee, identify the root cause of the problem, and can work on it and stop that turnover. Of course, that will save a lot of money to the organization. They don't have to go ahead with recruitment, selection, and the entire process again. They don't have to learn somebody learn about the culture of the organization. They don't have to make somebody adapt to the new environment, because you already have a person already doing that. So why to let your talent go away? So I think these techniques can be used, and I don't think so there's much difference into what could be the strategies that could be used in institutes that are used in organizations. Probably we can use this similar techniques and strategies to uh, enhance the experience of the employees.
There is one more question from Mr. Reddy. So he's asking that how is the teamwork experience as a cohesive factor at various workplaces? He's not specifically talking about IT sector, but the various other workplaces. So what are your views on that?
See, I would say it can play a very good role because ultimately it's not like one person's job that could help in achieving the success for the entire organization. It will be a contribution of each and every member in the organization that would together help you in achieving the entire, uh, levels that you expect from the organization. So of course, teamwork would play a very, very important role. And this experience can only be enhanced if the right steps are taken into that direction. While people working in a team, you first train them, you make them understand they have to work for a common vision, a common goal, and how they're supposed to collaborate with each other. Till the time they understand the importance of teamwork, they will not be able to work together, because they would think, why should I be doing that work which is not of my type, or why should I be answerable to this person in my team? So the best approach for this could be that the team members, they divide the role amongst each other through mutual consents, right? And of course they can divide the responsibilities amongst each other, and probably that, I think, would be helpful in the workplace. And this teamwork experience would be adding up to your overall employee experience, which of course would matter. So that should be taken care of.
Any question? Last question, I think, before we wind up.
Yeah, I think there is no more question, but I will have one question for her. So, Dr. Ruby, so what do you think, what could be the major restructuring that can be done in the employee experience to address the future challenges of businesses?
See, I would tell you, not from the pandemic's perspective, but in general perspective, if the pandemic had not been there, what from the future's perspective and this pandemic wouldn't be there, the major restructuring that should be done from the employee's experience perspective would be to, first of all, ensure that data analytics, HR analytics, especially the term used by Timira ma'am, which was design thinking, all this should be emphasized on. A lot of research in these areas probably could help you in identifying the key areas that could solve the challenges that the people might face in the future times ahead. So I think these could be the probable areas we should be focusing more on.
Okay, so I think most of the questions has been taken care by Dr. Ruby and very well answered also. So, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Salis Gupta is here.
Yeah.
Madam, I think if
yes, sir, absolutely. Good evening, sir. Namaskar.
He's a very senior entrepreneur and very active. Please.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I also wanted. He should give his opinion on the topic.
Right.
I was expecting that, and I probably that's the reason.
Yeah.
But let me compliment. I believe I come from the corporate side, so it's very good to hear Dr. Ruby as well as Dr. Timira ma'am as well as Dr. Narenji from the academia, and I believe it was very insightful from giving some of those studies and everything. Just giving my two bits. I know Virenji also I know very well because he's happens to be my neighbor. Just giving my 2 cents on this topic by one of the books which I'll recommend from employee engagement, and probably try to add what Mr. Reddy was asking. In fact, there's a book called Employee First, Customer Second, and that's a very radical book, I believe, because the whole paradigm was customer first and rest everything. That's how the paradigm was. And employee first, customer second brought in the very different kind of a perspective, and I believe how this can actually gel this employee engagement, and what Dr. Ruby Budi will summarize it in her overall presentation. So there are 4 tenets which he talks about it. It's going to be a whole big thing, so I'm not going to talk about it. This book is being practiced, and I'm a walking and talking practice first practitioner of that book in the corporate as well as MSMEs. And as Mr. Reddy was asking, how is it applicable to non-IT industry? And non-IT industries, actually, for example, we are consulting to many of the MSMEs and startups actually. So MSMEs is like manufacturing on the ground. It is non-IT. You can't work from home. You have to go back on the ground and then work with them. So how do you really motivate them? How do you do a teamwork? How do you really engage them? So there is there's a little bit of a shift from how an employee engagement in a manufacturing industry is supposed to be done in an OEM supplier or a retail market when you go to a retailer, or probably a shipment. For example, a person who's coming to you to ship a courier, in fact, like a Amazon or a Zomato or anybody who's coming on a bike and shipping those kind of things. So how do you really bring an employee engagement in those organizations? So there's a little bit of a difference in the way probably this employee engagement was handled in IT industry versus non-IT industry. Specifically in the pandemic case, it has become a little different, in fact. So I believe at this juncture, while the time is probably just 5:30, so I'll just add employee for customer second, for good for IT, while for manufacturing, the more and more closeness, I'll use the word what Timara ma'am said, is a connect with an employee. I believe at the ground level, I believe, so the connect with, not only with the employee, with their family also, because this has given a lot of exposure to the families and the kind of bonding which they had with the employer actually. So that's only 2 cents I'll just like to add at this point of time. Thank you. Back to you, sir.
Thank you,
Dr. Salesh.
Yes.
Dr. Vineet is mentioning the book you have mentioned is written by the Vineet Nair of the HCL. So if I'm not mistaken that you are ex-HCL, you have worked with the HCL for the 37 years, if I'm not wrong actually. So I would like to mention for the Dr. Vineet actually.
I know. Being friends, I believe you know that very well, ma'am. So yeah, you are right. I celebrated my silver jubilee. I celebrated my silver jubilee with HCL. So that's why I said I'm a walking and talking practitioner of employee engagement with a large organization of which is like 1.5 lakh employees today.
Thank you. Before Seema madam comments on.
Acha, Vamaji, I would like to invite Dr. I'm so thankful that Dr. Reddy is there on the Noida chapter panel today. I would like to hear something, sir. Can you, because my camera is not working today.
Unmute, Dr. Reddy. Unmute yourself and speak. I think may not be available.
Dr. Reddy, please.
Dr. Reddy, are you getting us? I think he may not be near somewhere. So I will request KK Prasad ji to deliver his vote of thanks.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for this approach. And excellent. This was an excellent session. And I think one of the most nice that I see Noida chapter had. Because in today's audience, you can see a lot of doctorates are there. So I'm also very obliged that I have gained opportunity. So on behalf of Noida chapter, thank you. On behalf of Noida chapter, I thank Ms. Nima Sinha and Noida chapter secretary all the distinguished guests.
KK Prasad ji, just a minute. I will mute everyone. And then you unmute and speak.
Yeah. Please.
I mute all. Please speak.
Hello. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible?
You're audible. Please.
From Chennai.
Yeah.
Dr. Reddy, you are
Good
welcome.
evening, sir. Welcome to the Noida chapter. I'm so delighted to see you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity in Noida chapter. I'm so happy to be with you, and I enjoyed the speech of Dr. Ruby. She has very elaborate about how the employee experiences, engagement is, and how an employee can be dealt at every stage. But I'm happy that she has brought out a lot of presentation formats, and I think that gives us a big sort of experience to follow. Thank you, Dr. And thank you, Noida chapter. Thank you so much.
KK Prasad ji.
Right, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. So,
yes.
We give the opportunity to thank today's speaker, Dr. Ruby Sanger. It was an excellent, you can say, the employees' experience in these hard times. And Dr. Chaudhary, today's moderator, that was done. Thank you so much. And Dr. Timira Shukla, ma'am, your experience and your words were always being encouraging for the Noida chapter. So thank you so much for being with us for the whole session. And to all the distinguished guests, to all the distinguished guests of Noida chapter and the various other chapters across India that you have joined. So we are very humbled and very thankful and grateful to you to take out time, and you have attended this session. So we are good to close this session, and we thank you very much for your presence, and we look forward for many such sessions, monthly sessions that we are having, and to the speakers also to take out time and have some more sessions like this. Right? Thank you so much, everybody. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Seema madam, before
Namaskar.
close.
Thank you so much for
Yes, my sincere thanks to Dr. Ruby, Dr. Singh, Dr. Mira, and all the guest members and all the members actually. So I'm very much encouraged actually, because we are being the new chapter and the smaller chapter. We need the encouragement. So that's why I'm very thankful to Dr. Reddy, such a senior member, is actually attending the Noida chapter program actually. So once again, very thankful, such an insightful session by the Dr. Ruby, such a young speaker, young powerful speaker. So I'm really thankful for accepting the invitation of the Noida chapter actually, not always be the part of and be in touch. That's what I wanted to say. So namaskar to all of you.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Have a good weekend anyway. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.